to the utmost. He never wasted anything, and that was his secret.
Where's he buried?
He's buried, I wish he was buried in Coral Castle. Unfortunately, he's not. He's actually buried in a graveyard in Miami. When he died, his actual wishes were to be buried at Coral Castle, but there were complications at that time. You know, things had changed, cities had grown larger, and his request was denied to be buried there. I wish I had the wherewithal to go dig him up and put him where he wanted to be.
Before we go to calls, tell me a little bit about his book, Magnetic Current.
This is a book that he wrote that describes. In fact, let me give you some of the way he started this off, and I think this is fantastic. It starts off magnetic current. If you don't mind me reading this.
No, go ahead. And is this book? I'm going to ask you about your book, where you can get it in a second. But is this book, Magnetic Current, available?
Oh yeah. When you call Coral Castle, you just ask for his writings.
Wildcard line, you're on the air with us. Hi there.
Good morning. Is that John? Is your name?
Joe.
Joe. It's Joe.
Joe.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. Joe, by the way, you sound like the fella that George played the other night that laughs at when the women get out and beat up the guy. You sound exactly like him. I'm sitting here dying saying this has got to be him.
Right. He does sound a little like you.
And when he breaks up laughing, he hits me that way. So I'm sitting here laughing. I'm getting killed here.
Well, he must be from the swamp like I am.
I'm telling. Are you from Florida?
Yes, I'm from near. Yeah, I'm up in northern Florida near the Georgia border where Okefenokee Swamp is.
Okay, I'm a little more south, down by Palm Beach.
Right.
And a friend of mine convinced me to go down to the Coral Castle. And it was the most... I'm not a tourist guy, no way, no how.
Right.
But it took him 5 years to convince me to go down there with him. And he's into structural engineering and so forth. And he was most taken back by one piece. This is really like a two-part question statement. One has to do with Tesla. Did he have any interaction or knowledge from Tesla? Because when I asked the man who gives you the tour, he was very reluctant to talk about it, almost in a CIA way. Kind of, he struck me that way, like we can't really talk about this, and da-da-da. It was very odd. But the question I wanted to ask is, there's a 20-ton doorway that can still be moved, like with the push of your finger. That doorway that's on like a pinion or drilled straight through, like it's the shape of a cereal box with softened edges, rounded edges, and it's a 20-ton doorway that just goes around and around and around as if you were to stick something right through the long way through a box, cereal box shape. And it's 20 tons, and you could just go to one side or go to the other, and either way it'll move. And all these years, it's still perfectly pivoted, so you can push it with one finger. And he gave us a tour of the whole place. That struck me. Another thing struck me. Where did this man, who was made of bones, ever get comfortable? Because when you sit or you touch anything there, you will cut yourself. This man had to be made of iron. So he was really, it was really the most fascinating day I had with my friend. But at the end of the day, we did feel that there was no special knowledge and that it can be figured out through structural engineering and tripods and various things. But there were things left unexplained, and we accepted that too. But so the question comes down to, if you know anything about the door and you know anything about him communicating with Tesla, I'll listen off the air. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
George, you want to? My research, I found nothing where he actually interacted with Tesla. So many people have asked me that. I could never determine. Tesla was really farther ahead on Ed. In fact, George, if you remember in the In Search Of show, they actually showed Tesla took a 1931 Pierce Arrow car, took Ed's machine, put it in the car, and it was going 90 miles an hour on an electric motor. As far as the gate that you're talking about, now that gate actually weighs 9 tons. It's not 20 tons. That gate is, and if you were there 5 years ago, that gate is now broken again. It's not working. It takes all your strength now to push it around. And one thing they don't tell you, they had to remove that gate. George and I talked about it last time. In 1986, the weight of the bearings crushed it. Ed had to find the center of gravity of it, which when the University of Florida came down to fix it, their engineers said it would take laser technology to find the center of gravity of the stone now, much less without electricity. How did he drill that hole perfectly down the center of the stone?
Right.
And it connects to the wheel bearings, of a Ford truck. And
does it pivot that easily?
Oh, yeah, it did. You could. A little girl, they said, if you remember my book, could push it with one hand. But now, when the bearings crushed it in '86, they fixed it again. And about 5 years ago, or I guess more recently, it's broken again. It's crushed the wheel bearings again. And what they don't tell you is when they replace the gate, George, on either side there's only 1/4 inch clearance. When the man was explaining that door pivots, there's 1/4 inch with a 9-ton gate. If you were to stick your fingers in there, they're going to be crushed. Okay? They had to cut the walls of Coral Castle to fit the new gate, not the new gate, but to get it in there, and they don't tell you that on the tour.
Well, now I have, by the way, the officer directors of the Coral Castle, which could very well be the shareholders who, in theory, then would control this corporation. 2 individuals out of Chicago, Joe. Irving Barr and Lynn Barr. And it's got their address and everything. So they could very well be the owners, the major shareholders of this corporation, and their registered agent. Looks like it could be an attorney in Belle Harbor, Florida. So what do you think of that? Huh? There you go.
I think you're right on the nose there.
West of the Rockies, you're on the air with us. Hi there.
Hey, gentlemen, great show. I got into Coral Castle. I saw the show on the Travel Channel a few years back, and it just, I guess, anybody who's been completely driven towards something, it just really took over like that. I went on the internet and started looking up everything. I started reading everything, magnetism, everything sort of related. And I was led to a site of a gentleman named John Searle. I was wondering if you're familiar with him. He is credited with coming up with a thing called the Searle disc. And reportedly, I believe it was back in the 50s or 40s, and he was allegedly making his own flying saucers at home. And he took some magnetic coils. It sounds like he was doing a similar type of thing that Ed was doing, but he took 2 magnetic coils and put them on a disc, one on top and one on the bottom, and it basically created the same effect you were talking about. The magnet gets to going, and these saucers would shoot up into outer space and never come back down. I was wondering if you have any familiarity with that, or is it the same principle as what Ed was using?
George, you want to handle it? I've never heard of the gentleman.
No, nor have I.
Oh, okay.
So I can't answer that.
Okay, well, as I said, as I went to coralcastle.com, I just started finding everything in magnetism, but the gentleman's name is John Searle, Searle. That may be something you want to look up, or maybe find someone who does know about it. But if people can make flying saucers, hey, that might be something that worth looking into.
That sounds certainly feasible, and Ed was, I think, working in that same type technology. And George, I think there was a guy named, it was Lazar or whatever, who actually
Lazar.
thought,
Yep.
Yeah, who worked at Area 51, and he said when he got to look at that UFO that it was a magnetic type thing that was running the thing. So whether we can believe that or not, I don't know, but I think that technology is certainly the way it goes.
I got a phone number to the owner of Coral Castle, or the shareholder. We'll call him tomorrow, Joe, and we'll see if he wants to come on the show for a little bit to talk about why he invested or bought it, and we'll go from there.
Boy, that would be wonderful.
What if he said that they found the secrets of Tesla when they owned it?
Well, one of the stories that I was told was he bought it as a wedding or a Valentine gift for his wife, because the Valentine table there that Ed did. So he was kind of being romantic, and he actually bought it for his wife when he was first enamored of the place, and then he said, "Well, I'll give her a wedding gift." So that was quite a wedding gift.
Let's go to our East of the Rockies. You're on Coast to Coast with us. Hi there.
Hi, is this George Norrie?
Yes, it is, and it's your turn.
Okay, thank you. I don't understand with the intelligence of the listeners that you have and the intelligence of the two of you that it is not cut and dry obvious what's going on, because it is to me.
Tell me what you
First
think
of
it
all,
is.
the numbers, all the numbers that he's giving you, what are the last